All right, we're going to wait just a couple minutes while everybody gets logged in here. I think we're going to have a full house for this webinar today.
So I'm going to go through the beginning portion, the end with the 10 steps. I'm probably going to abbreviate so we have a little bit of time at the end, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Because I think it's an hour and 10 with everything.
Oh, okay. All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to Builder Partnerships Webinar Wednesday. Our webinar today is, oh, hold on, let me bring back the right page. Our webinar today is Become a Builder of Choice to Improve Cycle Time, Quality, and Profitability, presented by Ed Hauck. Much of what you learn today is timeless and extremely beneficial all the time. So you want to make sure you take lots of notes today and stay on till the very end, because it's going to go through all of the 10 top things you need to think about to become a builder of choice. Before we begin today, I do want to go through a few housekeeping items. We are recording the webinar today, so if you would like to re-listen because you didn't catch something right away, you can come back to our website at www.builderpartnerships.com/events and search for the webinar. All of our webinars are saved on our website. We are going to be taking questions throughout the webinar. However, we will likely save all of the questions until the very end, and I'll read those out loud and have Ed and Chuck answer those for you. We do welcome your comments and suggestions. So at the end of the webinar, you will be getting a link to a survey. Please feel free to fill that out and give us all of your good and things we could improve on, because we are always learning from you guys to get better. And I think with that, we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Ed for you today. He has been with Shinn Consulting for a very long time. We've been working closely with him for a long time and enjoy working with him. He is one of our senior consultants. He's been in the industry for many years. He spent 22 years with Rouse Chamberlin Homes and then came to work with us. He is a regular speaker at management seminars and now our online classes. He provides training, individual consulting, and coaching to help builders reduce direct construction costs, streamline operations, and guide production design towards efficiency and cost control. He has an extreme passion for all of those things, so it's beneficial to bend his ear for that. His consulting expertise, again, is operations, purchasing, value engineering, and design centers. He is currently available for coaching packages. So if you're interested in working with Ed at all, feel free to contact our office to get more information on our coaching packages. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Ed.
Wow, I hope I can keep up with that intro. My gosh. So this one is Builder of Choice, and Builder of Choice is one that Chuck and I have an extreme passion on. You know, everything that we teach all culminates into this session. Everything we do, every seminar, all comes down to this. And the whole basis of this is when you become Builder of Choice, you no longer have a need for trades in your market. Trades want to work for you. One other thing about this is when we work with builders that were our Builder of Choice, it's automatically, in our opinions, a 5 to 10% difference in your direct construction costs, because when they can work for you more efficiently, they can work for you cheaper than anybody else. So Chuck told me this story of a long time ago about he came up with the Builder Choice concept. So instead of talking for Chuck, I'm going to tell Chuck to unmute himself. I'll call on him, let him tell you the story about Builder Choice up in Canada and how it came to be. Just got to make sure Chuck unmutes himself. Did we lose you, Chuck?
He's on here, but we can't hear him.
Well, I'll tell you what, at the end, Chuck, at the end, I'm going to call on you at the end and tell us about the Builder of Choice. So essentially,
unmuted.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yep, we hear you.
Okay, I don't know. The headset was doing funny things. This started in Winnipeg, Canada, as a slideshow about 20 years ago. And Emma only sends Ed and I to Canada during December or January. So this was a cold period of time, and we were doing a seminar for the HBA where we had all the builders in Winnipeg, and we had the trade contractors attending the seminar. And when we took the lunch break, there was a trade contractor that came up to want to talk to me, and he critiqued every one of the builders in the room. And he started pointing to builders. He says, "I won't work for that builder. I won't work for that builder. I won't work for that builder. I work for that builder, work for that builder, work for that builder." And he was pointing to all the builders in the room. And he came to one of the builders and he says, "I work with that builder. And if he would grow, I would allocate all my resources to that builder. I work for him for less money and I make more money working for him. He is extremely well organized." And I'm sitting there saying, there's the builder of choice. And in just about every market, you would have probably somebody who the trades look at as the builder of choice, who they want to work for. And tying to that, one of the things, this little story that I tell in some of my seminars, I tell builders that, there's a shortage of labor in your marketplace, but you don't have a shortage. And Ed might bring this up a little later. But I said, and I asked, and I said, so how many building permits are taken out in your market? Let's take Denver. Let's say 20,000 permits were pulled in the Denver metro area. How many houses are you going to build? Well, I'm going to build 200. Let's make it really simple. I said, so you have plenty of labor. It's just you need to make it so that they want to work for you. And if you're the employer of choice, you do not, because right now you're just sharing the shortage with every other builder in town. And if you would distinguish yourself and become the builder of choice, you would have excess labor in your marketplace because the trades want to work for you and the suppliers want to work for you because you're organized and you're thinking of them and you've got your setup right. So that's how this thing started. And we've been working on it, and Ed's going to go through and say on a lot of stuff of what it takes to be the builder of choice. So Ed, it's all yours.
Yep, I really, Chuck tells me this story all the time. That's the origin of it. When Chuck first told me the story, I was still a builder in my own market, and I had a list of trades lined up ready to work for me because of everything we're going to talk about. So a lot of the stats we're going to present are things that we did. We do some surveys for builders, and we do the surveys. A lot of this came from the survey. So we had a bunch of builders that we surveyed, and we used their trades. We did surveys. Emma gave me all the detail, all the data, and that's pretty much where all this came from. So if you look at the first slide, trades in short supply, I don't care when we do this, it doesn't change much. Right now, everybody and their brother needs framers. So you look at this, these are all the trades, the skilled trades are what we really need. The next slide to the right of that is really the days added. The days added are because, think about this. I have a framer, and if I'm well organized, my takeoffs are great, my plans are great, my field supervision is great. The framer comes on full crew and blows it out. There's no days added. In fact, I reduce cycle time in most cases. But what happens when you're not the builder of choice? I'm working with a builder right now. I saw the list. There's a bunch of you on the list that I'm working with now. So pay attention because we'll talk about this later. But a lot of times what happens is when I'm not the builder of choice, I'm not organized, I'm losing time, I'm losing days, I'm adding cycle time because you're not efficient. So they can't make money on their jobs. So the other thing that happens, you don't always get the A crews. So Chuck talked about this. There's a labor shortage in your market, but I don't have a labor shortage. So we talked about this. I mean, I always had a stack of framers who wanted to work for me. I had great plans. My lumber takeoffs were great. How my field team manages them. Chuck will mention this a lot of times in the seminars that I fell off the wagon. I still build at home. So I'm a small volume builder. How do I get the trades to work for me? They want to work for me because they come on the job sites and they'll make money. So the next slide after is there's cycles. Right now, we in a lot of areas of the country, we were shut down at the beginning of COVID. Michigan and Pennsylvania were closed. I mean, we were closed for almost 2 months. So what happens is we have these cycles. And when the construction cycle heats up, the sales cycle, we sell a lot of houses. What happens is the workload expands. Our trades are not going to staff up for the peaks. When the downturn hit, they tried to staff up. Before the downturn, they tried to staff up. It didn't work. Next thing you know, they have vehicles, they have men, it's very expensive. So they don't staff up. We try as much as we'll try to do even flow. It never really works out. So bottom line is they'll never staff up for us. So what I want to do is I want to make sure the trades are stacked up. I want to put all their A teams working for me. It's an honor to work for a company, a builder of choice in your market. They have to earn it. And when they earn it, they don't let you down. They meet the schedules. Your variances go down. Your material usage is good. So we want to have your company well managed in all aspects of the purchasing team and the construction team. It takes both of those to get all the discipline, to get the reliability out there for the trades. So the next slide is what do trades want? I'm not going to read all these things, but when we do this in the live seminar, what we do is we'll start asking all the team members. But look at the slide. Look at all the things that the trades want. There's a lot of things. It's not much. Okay, they're just asking to be able to do their job. So the next slide is I want to talk about creating an environment that allows them to be effective. I want them to be able to show up, have the materials, have the supervision, have it clean, scopes of work, the POs, all that. That's what they need. The organization has to be consistent, reliable for them to be effective and be able to get their job done. That's all they want to do. They just want to show up and do the work. So one of the things is the superintendent's role. So when we're doing some of our construction audits, working with trades, and working with the builder now on some scheduling and some cycle time, my best supers in an operation usually don't have a problem with the trades because they have great field supervision. They're talking to the trades. They rely on the schedules. They know they can reach the superintendent. When they call, they answer. The superintendent's on the job early. He's walking his jobs. One of the things we talk about all the time is I want my superintendents to be able to have carry enough houses to keep the trades busy, but not have too many houses or too much windshield time. I want my supers to walk houses at least twice a day, talking with the trades. They have to be on the job and be accessible to the trades. So the superintendent we talk to the supers all the time about some of these management functions. The management functions are planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling. In the super seminar and some of the other management seminars, we go into a lot of detail on this. We really push this to the supers. Most supers don't realize that they are the frontline manager, okay? So the characteristics of builder of choice. It's a well-managed operation, okay? The builder, the purchasing team, operations, and the construction team have to be a team builder. And what do I mean by a team builder? You have to be out there. You have to be accessible. One of my things is when I'm on the job site, even in my small little world, I go up to every single house under construction and go greet every single trade. That's huge. That means a lot to them. That leads to motivation. And I'm going to hear a lot of people say, well, they don't always speak English. In the Northeast, I wish we only had Hispanic trades. It'd be easier. I'd only have one language to learn. We've got the League of Nations here. Go up, be a motivator. Greet them. Hello. That's the leading. Communicating. I can always find my trimmer. They're Russian. Okay. The father, the uncles are great craftsmen. They don't speak a lick of English. However, I can communicate them. Find a way to get there. And then you have to be highly organized. I want your plans, accessible, scopes of work, details, anything that needs to be laid out, marked out, all that stuff, for the field team. The trades want to go up and immediately start working. So you have to be well organized, okay? We added this slide for the seminar recently, and it's how to survive our new world. And there's a whole lot of things going on. Things were getting better. Now they seem to be not. I'm not going to get into all this, but make sure that you focus on this for your trades. Depending on your market, what do you need to be open? Cleaning supplies, one trade per house. There's a lot of that stuff going on. Still in my market in Pennsylvania, we do have rules and regulations about this. So make sure that I'm not doubling up on trades. How am I dealing with my my orientations and such. So at least think about this. You know, that's a minor part of this, and that's a recent thing. So I want the trades to feel safe. You know, in our local towns, municipalities, they're telling us what's mandated in order for them to be able to work. So what's your customer service strategy? Do you have a plan? Right now, we have one of our builders in our builder group that's doing, you know, a touchless type of orientation. You know, after closing, how are you handling your customer service? So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time, but right now, at least think about that for your trades. Okay, so when we first did this seminar a few years ago, I think it was for a builder group down the Southeast somewhere, we surveyed all the trades through Chuck and Emma, you know, a bunch of our builders, surveyed a bunch of trades. We got all the data back, and it really boiled down to about 10 steps. It was really that easy. And and these are prioritized in the order in which they kind of brought this up. So there's about 10 things. So we'll go through this fairly quickly. I'll get done a little bit early just so we have time to talk about it afterwards, and then we'll have a lot of questions and answers. So dry runs. Dry runs are the #1 killer for trades. So what happens on the dry run? The dry run is when a trade shows up and cannot work, okay? So say it's a tile crew. They go to the shop, they load up with tile, they get to your site, and what happens? They can't work. They have to go home. So in some cases, they may have lost the entire day. So what are the odds that I'll get the A crew when they've showed up multiple times and can't work, okay? The other thing we did, as we start diving into this, talking to the suppliers, not working trades, that's suppliers as well. The 3 to 8 points is literally they're carrying 3 to 8 points for how many times they show up to deliver or do work and cannot work. So I was working with a very large national lumber company a few years back, working with a builder, and he just wasn't competitive, and he was losing against small builders. So we did a little open book kind of a scenario. He was literally carrying 5 points in his numbers for dry runs. That meant every time he went to go drop lumber or drop trim, he couldn't drop it. So dry runs kill trades. One of our other consultants, Jim, used to own a granite company, I believe it was, or tile company. I couldn't believe how many dry runs they have. So this is something, you know, share this with your field team. It's extremely important for them to make sure every single task is ready when they show up. That's the #1 way to kill it. So your current trades will give you feedback on your team. What does that mean? I want to be able to talk to my trades, as you know, on a regular basis. And if I have multiple superintendents, if I have a weak superintendent, I want to talk to them. I want you to work to eradicate the dry runs. All right. We worked with a builder a few years back, and we did an in-house superintendent seminar for them. Their VP of operations told the group at the beginning of it, he was now no longer, he told the trades he would pay for any dry runs. That means he was tired of the dry runs and he would pay. And by the way, the company didn't pay, he personally paid. So they eradicated the dry runs, okay? That was an extreme example. We talked to him every month for about 6 months. He only paid a few times. They got rid of dry runs in the operation. The next piece, and we deal with this all the time, is you have to have the best plans. When working with builders, whether it's a plan review, whatever, I get the plans, there's not enough detail. You know, how does a trade, how can they do the job if there's no detail? The other thing I want to make sure is all the plans, all houses, all product lines are consistent. I want all the details. Company-wide, I want everything the same. I like having construction details at the end of the plan set. And the company-wide, we do everything the same against all product lines. Right now, there's a whole, most of our builders are using some sort of plan, Swift or whatever. Make sure the takeoffs are right. Make sure if I have that information, it's on the plan. If I don't have details on a plan, what does the trade do? They make it up. What do? They're rounding up to cover themselves because they don't know. Also, I deal with, when working with builders all the time, when we do the purchasing audit. Purchasing audit, we're going through the process and systems, trying to get their direct construction cost in line. I find when I talk in the trades, there's plan errors. There's plan errors that are on the plans forever. Well, we told them about it. We just never really get the new plans out there. So one of the things we like to do is have regular meetings with the trades. If you find an error, tell me about the error. I want to fix it and get it out there on a regular basis. Have a planned audit process, how that works. If a trade comes up to you, some of our best cost savings ideas, by the way, comes from the trades. So if they have ideas, make sure you incorporate their ideas. Make sure you have a process of how to get that out there. Every time I reissue plans on the front page, we don't issue paper plans anymore, but when it's on when it's out in our web portal, make sure on the front page, it tells you about all the new updates on it. Don't make them look for it. Also incorporate your ideas, tell them about that. Number 3 is when we heard about is they have, trades talk all the time about the builders. They're really nice people, but they don't really have their stuff together. They don't really have good processes. So the whole idea is have the best process. That's how the trade can get on the job and get started. First thing you need is, what's your start order process? I want to make sure I have the best start orders. I want the community, the house type, the hand, all the information they have, what's standard in the house, what's optional in the house. I want the trades to be able to see that. That at that point's got to tie into the purchase orders. So make sure your start orders are clean, simple, and accurate. It's not real hard. So make sure your trades also know your purchase order process. So if you're supplying materials, make sure they know how you've done your takeoffs. Make sure your POs are accurate with your takeoffs. Lumber is one of the number one things you work on with a lot of builders. I see a few of you on today that I've worked with on this. If you're doing your own lumber, make sure your framer and your superintendent knows how you did that takeoff. Okay, they have to understand exactly what things are being used. Otherwise, they drop $35,000 on material on the ground, and nobody's teaching the trade how to use it. What are the odds are it's going to come out right? Slim to none, by the way. So the other thing is when I'm doing unitized pricing, make sure I've got the quantities right and my pricing is correct. So if I'm going back and forth with a trade with a supplier because I don't have the right dollars on there, it's a disaster. You become very high maintenance to them. All they want to do is bid the job, fill the order, and ship it. When I start working with builders and I start seeing some really high numbers, it's because their PO's system, their processes are bad. You become very high maintenance. You take a whole lot more of their time to run that job. So what do? They have to cover themselves. You're a high maintenance builder. You're not the builder of choice. Okay. Also, make sure all the selections are complete. We just did purchasing 201 the last 4 weeks, and one of the big things is make sure your start order and your selections are completed before you start the house. Working with the builder right now on cycle time reduction. The reason why their cycle time is bad is they're jump starting houses. When we went through it, we started figuring out how much time they were losing because of the selections and change orders. So make sure your selections are done before you get started. Have the discipline to hold back, get your soft cycle complete, and then get all the selections loaded and all the POs out. So the next thing is lead times. Lead times are changing now because of COVID and supply. So always be in contact with your trades and suppliers. On a regular basis, I hear all the time that builders aren't giving the trades enough lead time. Working trades, maybe they're 2 weeks out, maybe they're 3 weeks out. I don't know. Every market's different and every trade's different. Right now, if I'm getting ready to start a house, I'm telling my framer way in advance. I want to tell him when I think that's coming. I'm also going to be talking to him on a regular basis. So get the correct lead times, get them in your schedule, and communicate to the trades. The next piece, we deal with this all the time. I was working with a builder yesterday in the Midwest. Change orders are killer. They were processing 200 change orders a week. Okay, it not only kills the production operation, the trades never know when they're actually going to build the house because you're constantly changing. So one of Chuck's favorite lines is production builders that customize. A production builder that customizes is a builder trying to screw up all his processes and systems, okay? For our trades, it's a disaster. They never know exactly when we're building and what we're building and if it's going to be done the right time. So they're always holding back. It kills them and it also kills us. So number 4 is scopes of work. So have scopes of work for every trade, okay? So every trade from stakeout to final clean, and that includes deliveries, by the way. So include the details that you want to be completed in a home. Everything that I expect, I want in that scope of work. We use manufacturers a lot to help with the scopes of work. One of our partners is Tyvek. Tyvek's got some great, I'm not promoting Tyvek, it's just, we worked with the builder recently, and Tyvek's website has all the details on how to install their product. How easy is that to include in the scope of work for whoever's doing that? So reach out to your trades, your manufacturers. They can help you build your scopes of work, okay? It takes a lot of time. In the last couple of weeks, one of our takeaways yesterday on our seminar series was everybody talked about their scopes are not adequate. They're just not good enough. They haven't touched them in a while. They're missing pieces, okay? The other thing was make sure they're company-wide. Yeah, well, we're using on this product line, we're not on that product line. Well, our northern division uses it, but our southern division is not. Your trades need consistency. They crave consistency. Think about it from a trades perspective. They may be working for 4 or 5 builders. So when they come on your job, your community, they want to know exactly what you're doing and should be company-wide. Include job site expectations. Job site expectations are a lot of things. Working hours. In my market, depending on where I'm at, I may not be able to start before 7. Make sure they know that. I may not be able to work past 6. I want to include job cleanliness, start time, cleaning afterwards. Include all the job site expectations. If I don't tell them, they're not going to do it. I want to make sure I don't have trades eating in finished houses. I don't want them smoking in houses. Our buyers see all this stuff. So one of the things we did years ago, and one of Chuck's builder groups had to be the late 90s, early 2000s. Emma Jane said I was around for a while. She wasn't kidding. So one of the things we did a long time ago is we started adding job cleanliness. Every trade has to clean. When they show up, they have a clean work environment. They don't have to sweep. They can go right to work. Like a plumber walks in at 7:01, he's laying out right away. He's not cleaning first. So make sure every house is clean. Make sure the trades know it. So a clean house also increases. When I walk a finished home and there's clutter and trash everywhere, what are the odds that the trades really got an eye towards the quality of the home? They don't. So the next thing is, working with the builder now on their schedules. We're trying to reduce their schedules by 25%. So one of the things is we're in the scopes of work. We put time expectations for each phase of construction. If I don't tell them in the scope of work, what are the odds that I'm going to get what I want out of it? Slim to none. If I don't put any time expectations, we always say that time will expand to time allowed. So if I want any trade in the house for a lot of time, tell them. Framers, working with a builder now, framers are in a house for 12 working days. We'll just change that. Can I get that down to 8 working days? Send enough material and workers to get the work done in this time. So include time expectations. It's very critical. And also they have to understand they have to be done on their last day. There's no overflow, okay? The next phase is we talk about consistent crews. When you're the builder of choice, I will get the A crews all the time. When I get an A crew, they're faster than the other crews, okay? They're faster, they're cleaner, and the quality's better. So I want to request that consistent crew. One of the things we tell the supers in the seminar that you may not have control over what trade you want, but if you're a top tier super, you will get the best trades and request those best trades. When I get the same trades all the time, it's easy. They know everybody on the job site. They know that the person before them, they know the person after them. That leads to my next point is I want to make sure that the trades know each other and somehow figure it out. So one of the things we've done with a few builders and get ready to do this with a builder coming up. It's going to be in a Zoom, believe it or not, or we're going to introduce all the trades. We're going to have a pre-con meeting before we launch the new community. I want all the trades to know each other. Pre-COVID, we would actually have assigned seating. I want the mechanical trades sitting together. I want the owner. I want the working guy. I want the foreman. I want those guys to know each other. For smaller builders, maybe on the custom side, I may have multiple job site toolbox meetings, on job sites. I want them to know each other. I want to make sure they can contact each other. They feel a sense of responsibility for the person after them, and the same with the person before them. They might contact the trade before them, like, hey, I'm coming a little early tomorrow. Is it okay? Get them to communicate, okay? We talked about this a lot yesterday at the end of our takeaways. Sponsor lunch, coffee, pizza, whatever it might be, smaller volume builders. I also want my superintendents to feel it's okay for them just to be able to have job site meetings. Every single day, it's a hot day, I'm coming on the job site, I've got water in the back of my truck. I want to make sure I'm talking to the trades. It's a really big thing for them. So make sure that you have the scope of work and everybody's introduced, okay? Contracts, provide clear contracts. So contracts are kind complex at times. There's a piece of that we call the boilerplate, the master agreement. And it's written by a bunch of attorneys, okay? But the rest of it is for the trades to work. Again, that's the scope of work, okay? Every trade should understand what that is. I want to make sure the scope of work is part of every single contract. I may have a master agreement. One of my best practices, as I like to do, is whoever's going to be running that new community or that house and the superintendent are going to meet and sign off on the scopes of work. We do want scopes of work for material deliveries. I want those expectations set. If depending on what kind of product, and I'm delivering appliances, are they being drop shipped in the driveway? Are they putting in the garage? Are they uncrated and being moved into the house and the box is removed? What does it look like? Anybody who's ever done multi-story, large condos and townhouses, how is that material getting up to the upper floors? I got to have that stuff, outlined up front. Lumber, I'm very particular about how my lumber is being dropped. For my framer, I want to make sure my roof material is not on top, my sill plate's on the bottom. So that's in the scope of work. So if we don't outline this for our delivery, our trades, or even our suppliers, what are the odds it's going to happen as we expect? Slim to none. A large window delivery, are they sending 2 guys out in the truck, or is the guy coming out and expecting somebody to unload for them? So include that in your scopes of work. Job site rules. We're real big on job site rules. Work with some builders right now. I want to post these job site rules throughout the community. The first time I did this years ago, my old company, we did it, and we did it in conjunction with the marketing teams. They were nice, pretty signs. They were a little bit of landscaping. The buyers actually loved the fact that we had speed limits, no speeding, no loud music, all this kind of stuff. So post it. We also talk about posting it in every single house. No trespassing, no eating, no drinking, no shoes in finished homes, all that stuff. So I like posting them in every single house. Very easy and clear at the, coming in. We were working with a builder in the Midwest last year, and they decided it was a good idea to get it multilingual. So good thing I sent it to Chuck and Emma read it, and actually the Spanish wasn't so good. But if you're going to do it, make sure somebody proofreads it. So multilingual if possible. If it's not possible, do pictures. Pictures tell, you don't need to be multilingual, if I post pictures. So we're on number 6, and we finally get to number 6 and talks about pay on time. There were 5 things prior to paying on time, by the way. That's all the things that they need to be effective in your homes, okay, in your operation. So anyway, timely, pay timely. It doesn't mean you have to pay in, in 24 hours or once a week or whatever. They want timely, okay? They want clear expectations on the process, on the payment procedures. If you guys that are on integrated systems and you have an integrated system and their work is completed, I check off the work's completed, it goes into the queue to get paid. What does that queue look like? So what Chuck and I talk all the time is we optimize this. In my old world, we paid weekly. So weekly meant that I could attract some smaller trades, had a little bit less overhead, and they had no cash flow to worry about because I was constantly paying them. So what Chuck and I like to talk about is get these guys set up that payment deadline's not Friday, because if they don't get the work done, they're not getting paid, so therefore they don't work the weekend. I want the payment to be Monday at 12, for example. They'll work the weekend to get done, so that way they can get paid on that next cycle. If you're weekly, in my old world, the cutoff was 12 o'clock on Monday. Realistically, by Tuesday, we were processing. We got funded and paid and ready to process the payment on Thursday afternoons. Friday morning at 9:01, everybody was paid. So what happened is everybody wanted to work. We optimized the schedules in order, and some of the cutoffs, so I'd get a lot more work done. So the trades knew when they were getting paid. Okay. The next thing is here all the time from the trades is, well, we get paid, and I really don't know how the process works. There's no excuse for that. Before COVID, maybe you have class. I always like to have class. We'd offer class once a month, the 3rd Thursday of the month. Come on in, and meet with accounting, and we'll meet with purchasing, and we'll teach your team. So the owner probably isn't going to do this. The owner's probably looking at schedules, but may not look at this. But have a process where you can teach them. Introduce your team to their team. One of the things we talk about all the time on trade recruiting and trade onboarding, this is part of the onboarding process. If I hire a large, was just working with a builder yesterday, just hired a large electrical company. Make sure that large company, you bring the right team in to meet the team in your office, okay? So again, it's not weekly, it's not monthly, it's the consistency. You know, Chuck, Rick and I talk all the time about, we're not big fans of back charges unless it's extremely necessary. And if you are going to back charge, make sure you tell them in advance, okay? In my career, I didn't back charge very often. And the last time that I had to back charge somebody, it was a pretty major oops. And when I back charged them, they spilled paint down the oak stairs. They spilled a 5-gallon bucket of paint. When I talked to the painter, he actually thanked me because they didn't back charge him all at once. He paid it off over time. So the next thing is a big issue for all you builders right now is we don't have adequate trade base. So what happens if we don't have adequate trade base? There's no competition. There's not enough competition to keep everybody on their toes. The one thing we talk about all the time is an 80-20 rule. Somebody's always hungry when they're the 20%er. Working with a builder right now, they're actually on the call. So the 20% trade, he's a little higher than everybody else. I can't give him any more work, but I've got to try them. So we're going to try them out in 5 houses. In my opinion, this builder is a builder of choice, and there's a lot of other percentage points that they've got layered in there to cover themselves. After 5 houses, we're going to go back and try to renegotiate. We're only promising them 20% of the work if they get past this probationary period of the first 5 homes. Once that's the case, if I can get their number down, I might give them more than 20% of the homes. So, and the reason why it's 80-20, it's not 80, it doesn't have to be 80, it doesn't have to be 20, but any less than 20%, you don't have their attention. It could be 70-30. So what happens is, a lot of times, if we're getting ready to work with a builder right now, a very large volume builder, they have too many sacred cows in the operation. You know, everybody's just too comfortable. They're never going to replace me. So Rick and I talk about this all the time, that if that's the case, when I go out to bid, I'm not very serious about it. I'm getting a number just to put in the file. That's not a good plan. We call that sport bidding, okay? So what I want to do is I want to have the 80-20 rule. I want to have trades that want to work for me. If I'm going to bid them, I'm not going to bid them unless I've done all my homework and I'm willing to give them the job. So once I'm an 80-20 builder and I have a trade that has an issue, I have other people in the wings in my operation ready to go. The one builder I'm working with right now, they want to bring another framer on board. Don't make them bid out 20 houses. What we did is we gave him 3 houses, 3 of the most popular house plans. So in that most popular house plan, the trade's going to get some repetitive. He'll make money at it. So I've already got them ready and willing to work. So, but if I don't share the work, what happens is in your market, everybody knows that XYZ builder, yeah, they call me. I throw a number at them once a year. And do they give you a good number? No, they kind of round up. So we talk about this a lot. There's every supplier might have multiple tiers. The top tier, a level 1's got the highest multiplier off list. Level 5, that's counter price. So they're giving you counter price. They're just throwing this counter number at you that's, you know, anybody off the street would get. So when you get that number back, you're actually raising the bar to what you think your costs are. So if I'm going to bid, make sure you're willing to give them. Always be looking for new trades. The best recruiters are the best builders and have the best trade bench. So Rick Maurer and I, one of our other consultants, he and I know each other from our local HBA. That's how we met. We're both very active. I'm a past president. I was always part of all the events. I sponsored key events. And the year that I was vice president of the HBA, I actually was chair of the Associates Council. The Associates Council is who? All your trades. So a new electrician came in, two younger, hungry guys came in. We want to join the HBA. We went out on our own. We've got 6 guys. Guess who got them first? Me, because I was part of that HBA. And by the way, this is 10 years later. He's still working for me. So find ways to be involved. Sponsor key events if you have to. The other thing that I do a lot, besides the key events, is have process and systems so that your field guys, when they want to cross somebody, make sure you've got a way to be able to process that information back to your operation. In my old world, instead of swamping my purchasing team with emails, we had, be a trade at xybuilder.com, have an email address right for that. Be the best at recruiting and talking to the trades, okay? It's critical for them, So always have a process and systems, always have the ability to come in. Maybe they come in, reach out to them. Hey, here's the application. Make sure, you give them the information. I don't have any work right now. The next opportunity, I will reach out to you, communicate to them. Okay. Schedules. Schedules are becoming more important lately. As right now, everybody is out, in COVID. We lost a little bit of sales time and it rebounded. Working with a builder yesterday, coming out of COVID, they are literally 80% above capacity post-COVID. So I've got to have the best schedules possible, okay? Trades have to be able to look at it. They have to be able to forecast. So I want the schedules to be accurate. Right now, with this builder, we talked yesterday, they can't, the team can't process all the sales they had. They were supposed to do 20 a month. They sold 40 a month in the last 2 months. They can't possibly process that. So we're ramping up and we're going to even flow these out to make sure we're okay. And then what's going to happen is we're talking to trades. We're no longer a 20 per month builder. We're going to become a 30 a month builder. We're going to slowly build that up. I've got to talk to them. I want to give them time to prepare. Right now, because we set that stage literally a month and a half ago, we're already seeing an increase. They're no longer 20 a month builder. We're already up to 25, and now we're hitting the 30 mark. We're not quite to the 40, but we're getting there. So I want to be able to have the trades be able to prepare for our workload. So the next one is trades love consistency. What's the first thing we do in purchasing? We go out, we talk to a framer. What's your capacity? I can do 2 houses a week. Great, 2 houses a week. That means I got 8 more a month. I just got this guy under contract. What's the first one you do? We blow them up. We send a whole bunch to them. And next to know, when he promised 8, now I'm sending him 12. I just can't change that capacity. They love consistency, okay? Sales forecast. Like I just said with this builder, when it first hit, we were working on schedules. And when it first, that jump in capacity first hit, we start sharing it with the trades. We're about almost 8 weeks into it, but we've already got the trades to step up, ramp up for us. So now in that market, they're doing less work for other people. Who are they working for? They're working for the builder of choice, okay? Contractor meetings. Right now in this COVID situation, maybe I'm not having contractor meetings. Maybe I should be out, in my old world, what we would do is quarterly meetings, or some kind of meeting with the trades. It doesn't have to be a big fancy meeting. It's just a job site meeting, a pizza meeting. We can still do that, okay? Right now, maybe I should be doing this in an email blast. Maybe I need a newsletter. If I have new communities coming up, I was working with a builder recently, they had 50 new homes coming up in community. I'm working with purchasing. I'm like, have you had like an email blast talking to the trades? Well, we've been kind of talking about numbers and biddings, but they didn't forecast a change in that workload. This builder was a 200 home per year builder. This new community was going to put them at 250. Nobody told the trades. So I want to find a way to communicate with the trades, whole contractor meetings, email blasts, some way of commuting with the trades. Number 9, trade portals. A lot of the software systems out there have great trade portals. We do a lot of work with the market systems. I saw some of those folks, I think, are online. They call it the ITK. So if you have a trade portal, it's awesome. However, it's not worth anything if you don't teach the trades how to use them, okay? I can post the newsletters on there. I can post the new plans on there. But the number one thing I want to do is I want to teach the trades how to use my web portal. Right now, it's pretty easy. If I get a new trade, I'm going to do a Zoom meeting, show them how to use them, have the right people in the meeting. So when we're working with builders, I hear all the time, well, you don't understand. In our market, my trades can't use a computer, blah, 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 blah. I hear that BS story all the time. So Rick and I are in the Pennsylvania market. My framer was Amish, okay? The Amish, if you folks don't know, they don't have power at the house. They're a great workforce, okay? So my Amish framer came to me and said, Eddie, everybody's using these iPad things and they can see when they're getting paid and they can see the schedules. How do I do that? So what I did is I literally loaded up, went to their firehouse in a little town called Intercourse, PA. Swear to God, Google, it's a real town. Went and set up internet, printer, Wi-Fi, bought him the iPad, got him the case, and taught his oldest daughter how to use it. If I can get the Amish to do it, anybody can do it. So the number one thing is you got to teach the trades how to use it, okay? The last thing is, and then we'll open up the questions and answers. Yesterday, we finalized our last segment of Purchasing 201, and we had a lot of discussions about trade councils. Pre-downturn, trade councils were the rage. Chuck and one of his old builder groups, we started our first trade council, I think it was in the mid to late 90s. The trade council is a group, your core group of trades, okay? Somebody asked me yesterday who would be in the trade council. Number one, I usually target between 10 and 12 people on the council. That means I always have about 8 people to attend meetings. I went core, the larger trades, I might have a large foundation company, my mechanical trades for sure. In some cases I'll have, a larger framer, maybe some suppliers. What I want the trades to do is to give me feedback on what we're doing well, what we're doing poorly. So what we said yesterday, I want the feedback. It's a feedback loop. It's not a bitch session. Anybody who just comes to bitch and isn't going to add they will be removed. It's a great recruitment tool. When I have a great painter there, tell them, working with them, trying to, develop the best fit and finish at the end. My painter's the one who brought on an excellent trimmer at a good price and an excellent drywall company at a good price. So the trades talk, okay? So the next thing is, this is going to be an honor, not a chore. So we did ours quarterly, okay? They're short and sweet. They're over lunch, we move them around. In my market, we had 4 counties surrounding the area. So we moved them around. They were quarterly meetings. We would have an agenda. I was the start host. And then finally, they decided that they wanted to run the meetings. They decided where the meetings were. And it was always somebody or multiple people from my operation would show up, okay? This trade council, by the way, is still in operation. It started out as a trade council. When one of my coworkers passed away too young, the trade council, we decided to do a fishing outing in his name. We just did our 18th annual fishing outing a couple weeks ago. In that fishing outing, we put three kids through college. Even post-COVID, we attracted almost 40 people to fishing outing and still raised a lot of money for some good charitable events. That is the core group of my old trade council, okay? So again, short and sweet information. Somebody's got to take the notes. Somebody's got to get back to them on the follow-up, what we're implementing, when it'll be implemented. So the last comment here was reward them for their effort. My reward to them early on was we would, once a year in the fall, we would go, I'd take them all, on a 9-hole golf outing. It eventually turned into that fishing outing. And that has been in effect, like I said, for almost 20 years. So the whole idea is to outperform your competition by becoming the builder of choice. One of the big things, for all you folks who are on here that you're purchasing, once you become the builder of choice, the first thing I do with my team is my purchasing team. The first meeting you have with the trade is it's selling. You are selling your operation to them. You're telling them that you're the best. So I always tell in a purchasing meeting, I used to have this old hourglass thing that some trade gave me for a Christmas present, the dumbest thing I ever got from a trade. It turned out that I used that all the time. It was 30 minutes. They'd come in and put that hourglass out. They had 30 minutes. The first 5 minutes was me. It's me selling my operation. I'm telling them how good we are. We have the best process, best systems. If I'm going to do 100 homes this year, 100 homes next year, and 100 homes the year after that, I am now promoting that I'm doing 300 homes, okay? I'm going to tell them about my pace, how many homes a month. So you want to become the builder of choice. That's how you're going to drive your construction costs down. So Emma Jane, I think we did pretty good. We want to leave about 10 minutes for questions and answers. Do we have any questions and answers from anybody?
I don't have any questions yet, but down at the bottom, you can see a speech bubble that says Q&A underneath that. So if you have any questions that you've thought of during the presentation, please feel free to go ahead and put your questions in there and I will read it out loud for the group. Ed, do you want to speak quickly about the performance review surveys? Just because I know that something you guys have done to help people to get the builder of choice. So
to Emma's point, this is the basis for the builder choice years ago. I think I've been with Chuck and Emma for 7 or 8 years. I don't remember at this point, but we had the survey and we're talking about the survey. And what happens is you give us your trades. We're going to get ready to do this for the builder right now. So you give us our trades. We're a third party. All the information is confidential. We don't know who gets it. We start rating your performance, all the things we talked about, your process, systems, plans, your personnel, knowledge, all that stuff. And what happens is there's a lot of information. You get the feedback loop of what you're doing well, what you need to improve on. One of the best things that we get back, and I was just reading the surveys for another builder that we did a couple of years ago. We're getting ready to do it again with them. But some of the comments, the trades really put a lot of effort into this. The comments are some of the best. Now the comments for you people in purchasing and operations, you might read something and go, yeah, I know who that is. Don't take it personally. These guys are taking a lot of time and effort to give you that feedback. So anyway, we do a lot of that with builders. It's a great way to be able to increase your operation. And then usually once a year, we give out awards for builder of choice. A lot of builders are kind of surprised when they first try for the builder of choice that they don't do so well. Chuck and I were in a builder's office down, I think it was in Raleigh, and we went there. They had their company shirts on, and on their sleeves, on their hats, it had the builder of choice emblem. So think about how powerful that is to the trades when all your guys are walking around everywhere they're going, and it says builder of choice. And by the way, in their market, they were. I mean, Jane, I thought I saw some.
Their hats, their jackets,
yep,
their shirts, everything said builder of choice.
So one of the things I just saw pop up is somebody asked about gross margin. So in the purchasing and managing for profit, we talk a lot about gross margin, direct construction costs. So so one of the things we do in one of our audit process, Rick, Jim, and I do this a lot, is in our audit process, I can literally lower my directs by about 5% going through this audit process working with trades. And think about that. Most builders right now, Chuck promotes 30% gross margin is what we promote. Most builders we work with, when we first start with them, are at 25%. The variable is the direct construction cost. That's how we lower it. We can work with the trades for better materials, purchasing power, and systems and process to reduce that cost.
Yeah, and the 20% is good because normally what we see is 22, 23. And if it costs you 18% to run the business, you're going to make about a 5% profit max. And we're looking for in excess of 10.
Yeah, exactly. So what happens is, to Chuck's point, the directs are the only variable. So one of the questions we just got is what's a purchasing audit? The audit is I just did this with a builder a couple of weeks ago. We went through every single trade, how they buy from stakeout to final clean. So we went through, there's 35 trades in the house, and we went through, and there's only 3 ways to lower your directs. Number 1 is on your product design. We do a lot of work with product design, really lean, get the plans, make sure that they're efficient. Again, the trade council is good for this. So the first way to reduce cost is the best plans, the best product, what's in the house. The second way is the purchasing process. If I'm buying all bid management and lump sum, we can unbundle that. So we take a huge piece out of that. And the last piece, and sometimes the smallest piece, is negotiating. So that's the purchasing audit. That's how we kind of reduce the cost. Usually that'll net out anywhere between 5 and 8% in lower direct construction costs. Any other questions, Emma Jane?
Yeah, and let me.
The first question is from Rob Matkin. How do you convince trades that their negative feedback won't affect a builder's willingness to continue using them?
First of all, you have to be open and honest. So whoever is running this, before we just send a blanket thing out, somebody, in operations, purchasing, or whatever, is I want to have the conversation with them, telling them, hey, I'm looking for honest feedback. I'm trying to make my processes better. If all you do is say, you guys are the best, I can't fix anything. Are my plans bad? Can they be better? So just give me constructive feedback. And by the way, if I'm open and honest and give them the heads up front, we get a lot of information back from them. When we do this on site, getting ready to do this remotely in Zoom, we did this in Zoom with the builder in California a couple weeks ago with a couple of the trades. Trades were really good about coming back with the good feedback. So you just got to be upfront with them and open and honest.
Yeah, and you get the information back without any names. I mean,
Correct.
you might be able to guess, but
Yeah, the comments you can
comments
guess.
are unbelievable.
Yeah.
And by the way,
One thing with the comments that are coming back, we go through every single one of those comments, and if there is something that it's obvious that it's going to identify a particular person, if either we delete it or we edit the comment so that we make it sound more not personal, but more kind of common language so that they get the message, but they cannot identify with that person. So we're very careful in trying to maintain the confidentiality of the trade that is supplying the comments. Not only by making sure that their name is not in the comment, but by also making sure that we make that comment more normal instead of that you can associate it with a person.
And let me go back to one of the other questions about the gross profit. If you're going to get a 30% gross profit, that means your cost of sales needs to be 70%. And that breaks down to typically 20% for land and 50% for direct construction costs. We keep hearing about land being too expensive and getting more expensive and more expensive, but Emma's been doing her study for 27 years and land keeps coming in at 20%. So if you're working on your cost of sales, typically it's direct construction cost is sitting there at 56, 54, 60%. That's where you have to work. It is on the cost of building the product. Now, if your land is at 25%, that means that the 70 is the critical number. If your land is at 25%, that means you only have 45% you can spend on your direct costs. And Ed was able to get his direct cost down to about 36% on his houses.
So to Chuck's point, the whole scenario is 70% for land and your directs. In a lot of markets, land is crazy expensive. So in the Northeast, we were about 30-35% for land. So I had to get my directs down, get way down. And we talk about this a lot in one of the seminars is, again, product design, the purchasing and negotiating is how we did it. Controlled all those aspects. And even today in my small volume builder, I'm still about 40%.
Yeah, and if you look at Canada, Canada is typically the land, it's a postage stamp compared to what we have, but it's about 35% of their sales price, which means I only have 35% to spend on sticks and bricks.
We have we have one more question if you guys are ready for the next one.
Yep.
Okay, Manal Bala, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct. He has two questions or three questions. One, we have a trade council, but I'm always curious, why are they volunteering? Is it just to know what's coming up through the pipes? Number two, do we encourage trades to charge us for dry runs so we can quantify them as variance reports? Number three, how is it possible now to have change orders after you start a building, especially if the sale was canceled and the house will be turned into a spec? We face this problem a lot.
Give me one at a time because I'm never going to remember three questions after.
So the first question is, why do the trades volunteer for a trade council?
So the trades want to get close to you, by the way. I mean, the trades work hard to get our business. They want to protect that business. Suppliers want to protect it. Put your vendor hat on. They want to stay as close as possible. They want to be in the know of what jobs are coming up. So if you're giving work away and things are in a very competitive environment, they don't want to lose the work. This is a great way to stay close with you, by the way. And it's worth the hour, quarter, whatever. I've never had a trade that didn't want to be part of a trade council, by the way. So, Jane, what was number two?
Number 2 is, do we encourage trades to charge us for dry runs so we can quantify them as variance reports?
So I'll give you a different spin on this because my operation was very efficient. Working with my superintendents very open and honestly to make sure we did not have dry runs. One of my elevator speeches, one of my negotiating strategies is we don't have dry runs. If you have a dry run, you call me, I will pay you. And by the way, it very rarely happened. I took it one step further, and I also told my lumber company, my trim company, everybody else, we don't have hot loads. Hot load is when the framer calls me up at 4 o'clock and says, I need 10 2x4s tomorrow, and the lumber company's got to run them out. You're a high maintenance builder when you do that. So my framers always gave me 48 hours if you wanted material. When I gave that lumber company 48 hours, that's a back call. They always got it to me. If I had a hot delivery, I wouldn't know about that hot delivery, and I'm going to back charge the framer because he didn't manage that process better. So again, they knew that, and it very rarely happens. So it's your call how you play that one. It's a little, I don't want to encourage a bit, but if I'm that bad, I want to know about it.
Let me just tag on that. When talking to the trades, if you ask them what percentage of their operation is dry runs, they'll tell you somewhere between 30 and 35% that they're sending people out that they can't do any work. That's huge. That's a big expense for the trades.
Yep.
That's why they hire a driving foreman who will drive all the jobs the day before they will assign a crew. And they will determine whether or not the job is ready or the job isn't ready. And if the job's not ready, you will not see a crew because they're sick and tired of the dry runs. And they also say, I'm sick and tired of the superintendent screwing me because they're telling me the job is ready and the job's not ready. This is a huge, huge problem for your trades. Now, if you're really good, like Ed did, you negotiate the cost of that driving foreman out of your bids.
Agreed. And the other thing is everything else we just talked about. Once you are the builder of choice and they trust you, they know that foreman is not spending a whole lot of time on your job site. So that'll help get your costs down as well. And the third one, Emma Jane, was about change orders on specs. Is that correct?
Yeah. How is it possible now to have change orders after you start a building, especially if the sale was canceled and the house will be turned into a spec?
So
Collect
in
your
this,
money up front.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, make sure you got the money up front. That's a whole nother subject. So, okay, it happens. We have a house, you have sales cancellation. I want to make sure that I have stages where I know things can't be changed. Okay. So I have a house, it gets the frame, it's canceled for whatever reason. The beginning of COVID happens, somebody loses their job, it gets canceled. Got it, that happens. However, when that does happen, I've got to be very organized at that point. Sales has to know what can be changed and what can't be changed. What I want to do is if I am making changes, I want to try and do it at one point in time, not nickel and dime. What happens more often than not is it's the culture to allow people to change constantly. So if you're going to have, so one of the things is, Chuck and I laugh about this all the time, is builders say, well, we don't customize, but when we do, here's the process. At least have a change order, some sort of a process. If it's a spec house, can I hold POs back? Can I hold selections? And then, the selections is up till frame, and then I want everything out. So have a process, and when you do lose a deal, make sure that you are on the horn, emailing, whatever, blasting, letting the trades know, hey, this one fell out, continue the schedule, however, hold cabinets up or something like that. It happens, I understand that. Anything else in that, Chuck?
I was on mute. And that's very important. If you're doing a lot of specs, have stage releases and have your selection staged and with those releases so that things go away and you're not going to be backpedaling, changing something that the phase of the construction's already passed. Well, you do a matrix and you set up the matrix, and sales knows what the matrix is. So I'm in frame stage, and these are the only things that can be selected at frame stage. I'm at interior trim stage. This is the only thing that can be changed at interior trim stage, or whatever. But you should have that matrix set up if you're doing a lot of specs. And you will have staged releases of purchase orders.
We have one last question. And if those of you that are still on, you're still welcome to ask any other questions that you have. Ben would like to know if there are any books you would recommend to learn more about what you have taught over today.
Books on that one. I don't know of any books on that one. Do you, Chuck?
No, I would say go to our website, and we record all our websites, all our webinars. We have a lot of articles that I've written over the years. There's a wealth of information there, and I would go to our website and then go to, I think it's still called Ready Knowledge, and go to that area, and you'll find tons of information.
Yeah, I don't know of any true books on that.
No. Emma's book is about as close as you can get. Emma wrote the accounting system for the industry, and there's a lot of the philosophy of how we want to run the business, want you guys to run your business.
Well, I'm going to leave. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, is any other questions? Any other thoughts? Anybody?
There aren't any other questions at the moment. I am going to leave it open for questions while I go over a few things. I want to thank everybody for coming, but I do want to share a little bit more about our consulting team. We do have an amazing consulting team with a variety of specialties, and you can see on this screen that we have Ed, who is our presenter today, and his expertise is operations, purchasing, value engineering, and design centers. We have Rick Maurer, who's purchasing, contract negotiations, value engineering, design centers, and sorry, my screen is all the way covered up trying to manage the webinar at the same time, and Mark Systems. And then we have Jim Weigel, whose specialty is management, marketing, operations, finance, quality valuation, effective ownership, and owner acquisition. We are currently offering, especially right now with COVID, that we are offering remote consulting packages and coaching packages. So you want to make sure that you contact us to get your time scheduled. Time is limited, so make sure you call us as soon as you can to get your time scheduled with one of our consultants. Just to give you an overview of our services, we offer a rebate program where, and also data transfer through our rebate program with Kova and Mark Systems. We have our training, which is online and live courses, hopefully at 2021, our webinars, and our on-demand training. We do have Webinar Wednesday every week. Next week, we're going to have LeGrand about smart homes. Ed touched a little bit on our surveys for you. So if you want to do a survey, we do it for builder of choice, employer of choice, and then we do a customer service one too. So you can learn how you are interacting with customers, employees, and your trades. And then we also offer our builder groups, which it's more of like a support group. It's a great opportunity to be able to talk with other builders that are in non-competing markets, so you can help improve your own processes and talk through different struggles and get different ideas from other builders. This is a list of our manufacturers. It's not an all-inclusive list, but this shows you some of the manufacturers that we work with. So if you're working with any of these manufacturers, make sure to get in touch with our builder partnerships team to start earning rebates on that. And then, of course, we have our HBU that just started. We just finished, Ed was mentioning, our second session. We will be starting our next session August 4th. We're going to be doing a production management course, a negotiating course, and then we'll also be introducing a new class called Home Building 101 and Home Building 110. We did do a webinar a couple weeks back that kind of gave you an idea of what those courses would be like. 110 is basically set up for your standard employee. Maybe they're new to the industry. It gives them an idea of how the operations of a home building industry works, how to work with the different departments. The 110 is going to be more from the management perspective, how to manage those different departments and how to interact with each other and become a more efficient organization. So keep your eyes out for the registration pages for that. And here's a list of our webinars. They're always free. We do have every other week, we have ours that we do. And then we offer some training from our manufacturer partners. So next week will be LeGrand. They're going to be talking about foundations of a smart home. Then we'll have Jim Weigel, who's going to be doing his monthly financial forum. And on the 29th, we'll have NICES present today's termite pre-treatment options. And they actually shared their presentation with me a couple weeks back. And there's a lot more than just termite pre-treatment in there. So it's definitely a good one to join in on. And I have a comment from Tom French. He said, thank you for taking the time to put these webinars on. You are all fantastic. Thank you so much, Tom. We appreciate you coming and participating in our webinars. We couldn't do this without you, and we really enjoy spending our mornings with you every Wednesday. So with that, have a great day. If you need anything else, please feel free to contact us at Builder Partnerships Shinn Consulting, and our information's right here on the slide. And if you want more information about the topics that were discussed today, you can contact Ed at ed@builderpartnerships.com, or you can reach him on his phone. So with that, I'd like to thank Ed and everybody for presenting today, and I thank you all for joining us. Have a great day.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.